Hello, and we're live. Thanks for joining us. We've got Jiho, Beryl, and Seb here, and just thought we'd better start off with a few introductions for anyone who doesn't know you yet. Maybe we could start with you, Jiho. Please tell us who you are, what you do, and also, what was your favorite video game when you were a kid?
Hey everybody, I'm Jeff, aka Jiho. I'm the growth lead at Sky Mavis. We build Axie Infinity. Axie is a game where you can battle and collect these cute pets. You can earn cryptocurrency. I think we're known as being one of the first, if not the first, play-to-earn games. At Sky Mavis, I do growth-related things, so community empowerment, messaging, just making sure that everyone in the community understands how to contribute to our movement, understands our vision. I think that's mainly at a high level what I try and do. And growing up, my favorite game was, I'd have to say, Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction. I was a big Diablo player. That was kind of when I was 11 to 14, so kind of like my formative years. That's also like kind of what got me into like in-game economies and trying to make money from playing video games as well.
Love it. We'll dig into that a bit more of that later. But Beryl, tell us, who are you? What do you do on a day-to-day basis? And first video game you fell in love with?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Beryl. I'm a co-founder at Yield Guild Games. I handle finance. Yield Guild Games is a decentralized autonomous organization, and we seek yield in the metaverse. That is through supporting play-to-earn games. So we acquire a few assets, and we allow our players through scholarship programs to play and earn rewards. Favorite video game? Let me think. Street Fighter. PlayStation. Yeah.
I love Street Fighter too, yeah, and Tekken too as well. Seb, your turn.
Hi everyone, my name is Sebastien Borget. I'm the CEO and co-founder at the Sandbox, which is a gaming virtual world where users can make 3D assets and game experience, own them and trade them and monetize them through the use of blockchain, NFTs, and Sand. I'm also the president of the Blockchain Game Alliance, which now counts more than 235 members, pushing for adoption of blockchain technology within the video game industry. Well, tough to pick just one game. Like, I think I've spent all my childhood and teenage time playing games, but I would say like Counter-Strike. I've spent all my summer long just playing. And it was fun because it was one of the first multiplayer game and skill-based somehow that really got me hooked into this. And I saw there's a lot of potential behind for more than gaming.
Love it. Thank you so much for that round of introductions. Welcome to this panel. We're going to talk about NFT gaming and specifically, how NFTs are actually changing the gaming space and what it's going to look like in terms of building an NFT economy around gaming. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Leah Callum Butler. I'm the director of Emphasis. I also write a column for CoinDesk, which is all about crypto doing good across Asia. And I was also the writer and narrator of a recent documentary, which was funded actually by Beryl's DAO, Yield Guild Games. It's called Play to Earn, NFT Gaming in the Philippines. And it's all about Axie Infinity, which actually put food on the table for Filipinos during the lockdown. So that's how I come into this conversation. And my favorite game as a kid was Sonic the Hedgehog. And I think sometimes I still dream about like the opening of the game, like Sega. I don't know if you guys do that too, but like that's me. So diving right into the conversation, anyone who has seen the documentary recently, which we released in May, has probably been following the play to earn movement. But even though the term play to earn has really blown up in the last few months, it's a fairly new idea. And, you know, obviously the gaming industry has been around for a long time, but this is kind of the next iteration. So, Jiho, I wanted to start by asking you, I mean, I know at the moment it probably seems like everyone thinks that Axie is an overnight success, but you have been pushing this idea for a really long time, and you've been sharing some brilliant tweets about what it was like a few years ago when you would go to conferences trying to get people to listen to you. Like, what was it like back then before play to earn was a thing? And how did you recognize that this was going to be the next stage of gaming?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been a journey. So we've been building for 3 years, and a lot of the original Axie team members we met playing CryptoKitties. We were users, we were players. We experienced the joy of play to earn kind of for about 4 days in December of 2017, where you could actually breed CryptoKitties and make a profit. But because they hadn't actually built the game with this concept in mind, the economy quickly kind of spiraled out of control. So I think Axie, a lot of us, we got this taste and we're like, okay, how could we actually create a system where this could actually go on forever? Right. So we're like, okay, like, you know, the population growth of the NFT assets, it would have to be kind of, it would have to be reflexive, or it would have to at least be gradual relative to the increase in the player base. Okay, so, you know, how do we do this, right? It's like, okay, well, we need to ensure that people are actually putting time and effort to be able to create new NFTs, to be able to breed, right? So I think a lot of play to earn really came from ideas and our firsthand experience as users, right? So we're building initially the game that we wanted to play ourselves in those very early days of the NFT space, right? It was kind of like, okay, what would happen if we, right, actually spend years rather than a couple of weeks building a project and continuously adding features to it. So I think a lot of it was about that. We also, you know, in the early days of Axie, when people could just battle, a lot of people would come into our ecosystem saying like, oh, how can I earn the Axie token by fighting and battling? We're like, okay, but you can't actually do that. but for some reason, everyone just assumed, or a lot of new players specifically, they were like asking, oh, how can I earn a token by playing this game? So it was like, actually the users told us what they wanted in a lot of cases. So yeah, I think it was really listening to ourselves, like what we wanted as users, which was basically a sustainable in-game economy where we could turn our time and effort into real money. And then also listening to our users, okay, like they want a non-fungible token. Or sorry, they want a fungible ERC20 token that they can earn by playing the game, right? So that's what caused the invention of the small love potion, which is basically a tokenized resource that anyone can sell in a peer-to-peer kind of transaction, right? We as the game developers, we do not own any of these potions. We do not sell them directly. The only way that people can get them is by playing the game and by buying them off an exchange. And when they're buying them off an exchange, that means that somewhere along the way, right, like some real person had to earn this and sell it. So
yeah, so I guess like for anyone who isn't familiar with Axie Infinity has probably been living under a rock, but just to bring them up to speed, Small Love Potion, which is now known as Smooth Love Potion, or SLP, is the in-game reward token. And when you battle your Axies, which are NFTs, you can win this token. And what is cool is that you can either use it in game. It's needed if you want to breed your Axies, which is, if you're familiar with CryptoKitties, you can breed them. You can breed Axies too. But if you don't want to breed Axies, you can sell them on a decentralized exchange. And that's really kind of what took off here for us in the Philippines. So like if we fast forward a bit, can you tell us how Axie really found product market fit and where growth really started to take off?
Yeah, so we introduced the Small Love Potions. Now they're called the Smooth Love Potions, actually, an ode to Luther Vandross. But we introduced these in December of 2019. and there wasn't that much liquidity for a really long time. The price was quite low, but at some point in the summer of 2020, a lot of people kind of found out about Axie and found out about these potions, and for different variety of different reasons, the prices of the potions started to really explode. And it was around like 2 cents per potion that it seemed like Axie really had product market fit, where people started, showing up, playing the game, being like, telling their friends and family. And then your article came out, right, that August, I believe, maybe August 8th, which is like, kind of, I think, also threw some gas on the fire. And yeah, it's been just amazing ever since, right? And then we've had Catalyst, we've introduced Ronin, which is kind of allowed for scaling and basically getting rid of the issue of gas fees. So yeah, it's been a kind of quite an adventure. You've helped a lot. YGG has helped a lot, and I think part of it is also the market maturing, right? It's like 3 years ago was a little bit too early in terms of the infrastructure, the games, and people, the community. It takes like time for things to compound, right? Like some people, they 1%, 1% compounding growth. It just takes time, and I think what we're seeing is the result of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone hasn't read it, the article that Jiho was mentioning was something that I wrote for my CoinDesk column. I heard through the crypto community here in the Philippines that there was literally people playing a blockchain game to earn money when they were locked down in their homes during the pandemic. And the lockdown here in the Philippines was extremely strict. And a lot of people just earn day to day. So they lost their jobs because they weren't allowed to go outside their home. They couldn't drive their tricycle or, take their food cart around and sell meals as they would every day. So they were stuck at home with no way to earn. And actually, the thing that intrigued me was that Jiho found out about this phenomenon because he thought he'd found a bot on the system. In actual fact, it was a multi-generational family in a very rural part of the Philippines who was playing this game around the clock. So yeah, they did totally look like a bot, but was not a bot. It was a Filipino family playing this game in shifts to be able to earn enough money to put food on the table. But it wasn't actually just putting food on the table. It was actually a lot more money than that. For some people, it was more money than they were earning before the lockdown. So as you can imagine, that's kind of what started to kick viral growth into gear, because people were just talking about the fact that you could play to earn in a video game, like making money while having fun. Who doesn't want to do that? It sounds pretty good. However, there have been some barriers and issues that have come up since then. So Beryl, I wanted to ask you if you could maybe explain a little bit about, if we fast forward from August 2020, when a team of Axies, so you need a team of 3 Axies to be able to play the game. Back then it cost maybe $5 to buy a team of 3. So, even, people in the Philippines who were doing it tough could afford that. But today it's a bit different. So maybe you could explain to us, Beryl, what's happened since then and, why the circumstances have changed.
Yeah. So, you're right. So, it would have cost you $5, and then so first of all, the economics of Axie is really brilliant, right? And that's actually one reason why YGG has really taken a really close eye on how the SLP actually works, and also when you actually start breeding Axies. So the prices of the Axie, so the more demand the game, the more users, the more that you actually need Axies to play. And that's the reason why the prices of Axies have actually gone up tremendously. So from last year of October 2020, a price of an Axie team of 3 would have cost you $150, right? And then that's actually gone up to about $450 today. And given that, a lot of people in the Philippines, given that the pandemic happened, many people remained unemployed, right? So having $450, 20,000 pesos, spare to be able to acquire access to play the game is something that they don't have right now. So I think that's the largest barrier.
Yeah, which is, it's a little ironic, isn't it? Because, now we've actually got, I'm sure each of you would probably agree with me. I know I get messages every single day from people keen to play the game, but who can't afford the NFTs up front. So there's actually a super fascinating innovation that has come out of this problem. Again, the community rallying to solve its own problem, like Jiho was talking about before. And this idea of a scholarship has come up, but it's actually kind of demonstrating the utility of NFTs. So Beryl, for anyone who's not aware of what a scholarship is, I'm sure they're interested. Could you just explain what a scholarship is to get into Axie?
Yeah, so right now at Yield Guild Games, we have a number of assets like Axies, for example. And what we've been doing is we provide a scholarship. So an account comes with a scholarship, a gaming account, where in that account you already have like 3 Axies. And so we actually lend them out to players, and we actually allow our scholars, we call them, to actually play with these Axies. And when they play, they spend their time, they start earning rewards from these gaming assets, right? So now somebody who did not have $450 in the past can now just enroll themselves as a scholar at YGG, and then they get like 3 free Axies to play with and earn rewards.
I mean, that's amazing. Like, in terms of the way that you're reducing barriers so that people can get into the game, they can play, they can start earning the in-game reward token, which we've already seen has changed lives here in the Philippines. I mean, some people have earned so much SLP that they've been able to pay their kids' school fees, or they've bought groceries, right through to people buying houses and motorbikes, like all sorts of crazy stuff. But it's actually not that crazy. It's very much a real world idea, right? In terms of, if I have a yield generating asset, it makes sense to rent it out if I'm not utilizing it properly, right? Is that kind of the idea here?
That's right, yes.
And so, like, how is that going to change the future of NFTs, do you think?
You mean like gaming accounts?
Yeah, like, I mean, when we're looking at NFTs, I mean, there's a lot of people right now just buying up NFTs, but they're kind of wondering, what do I do with it? Like, I've got this cool NFT in my wallet, but what next? Like, what do I do with it? And I feel like GG is kind of showing people that there is actually like a next stage to what people can actually do with NFTs.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So at YGG, we're actually launching this marketplace where anybody who actually has these NFT assets could lend them out. So we have a number of scholars, and our scholars would love, right, to be able to access NFT assets to earn money.
Which is kind of cool as well, because, I mean, you're not just lending an asset to make a return off it. You could actually be changing people's lives and making a positive impact on the world as well, which I'm sure most people would be pretty excited to contribute to.
I think like the benefits of blockchain have been kind of abstract to everyday people. They've been abstract within the NFT space, right? But nobody questions, right, that, oh, like if you're like some kind of computer IT person, right, you know how to like set up Bitcoin miners, ETH miners, right? Like, you're able to earn, right, by securing the network. That's what players are doing. By playing the game, you're ensuring the security of the network by ensuring that the game doesn't die, right? So it's like, why shouldn't you be paid? Why should you be paid to solve math problems with your computer and not paid to play a game when the game requires players to survive, right? It's actually like, you can think of it as a form of mining, human mining. I don't know what's the most humane way to describe it, but yeah, it's play to earn is just this idea that blockchain shouldn't just be about rewarding highly technical people who know how to secure networks or have large amounts of coins, right? That's either proof of work or proof of stake. Right now, there's also proof of play. So I think it's just an entirely new way of valuing human contributions to networks, and it's the next evolution, right? Because the first step of blockchain was making sure that the networks are secure. And now it's like, okay, we kind of know how to secure the networks. Now it's like we need to actually ensure how are these networks going to be used? Because if these things are secure but no one uses them, nobody cares, right? Like, so now the future of crypto economics is basically figuring out how do we move away from incentivizing security to incentivizing usage, right? So that's what DeFi is about, right? Like that's why DeFi got popular, because these DeFi protocols were paying people to use their products. That's also why NFT, right? It's kind of like a lot of those principles just got moved over, and it's gonna get added to every single industry. It's gonna happen in music, in I don't know, books. It's going to happen in every industry, because every industry has users. These users, have traditionally been consumers that get like very little benefit for the work that they do. Right? They're giving valuable feedback. They're enhancing the network effects of the products that they use. So they're doing a lot of work, and as attention, right? This is like the natural evolution of the attention economy, is like people's attention, their eyeballs are actually very valuable, right? It's like real human attention is like the scarce resource, actually. So yeah, it should be rewarded, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the idea of being rewarded through a game is not new, but the idea of being able to actually own your rewards is relatively new. And having digital rights on the internet is probably, I think, what most people take for granted, right? Because, I find even in discussions about NFT art, people are like, I could just screenshot it, why would I pay all this money for an NFT? And I think soon we're going to see this changing, because people are actually realizing the value of scarcity online, particularly when we spend so much of our lives online, and increasingly. And it's interesting that we're kind of seeing that movement begin within emerging economies. So, I mean, we've focused a lot on the Philippines, and I think also due to the documentary, people are really talking about what's happening here. But Sebastien, I really want to ask you, because you're the president of the Blockchain Game Alliance, so you can really help us from an industry perspective. This really isn't a localized phenomenon, is it? It's worldwide. So can you tell us a little bit more about, like, where are these players and users coming from, and are there other games as well that they're looking at?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's really fascinating what we're just living, this area we're living right now. NFTs have established a value system, and on top of that value system, you can have like a full digital economy, just like the internet has enabled a whole digital economy. So beyond just being able to earn through crypto, through DeFi, etc., you're now seeing many jobs being born from this digital economy. People who are creating content for games, people who are participating and engaging, playing alone or playing with guilds, such as Wild Guild Gaming, or you have like community managers who are participating and animating events, curators of content. There's a lot of ways that have been found by community, and it's been enabled by the possibility of having assets that can be transferred in a permissionless manner across game, which allows anyone to build an ecosystem, as participating into the ecosystem, to build the use cases they want with those assets. That turns, we are seeing in the industry, we're seeing many games that are leveraging play to earn as one of the angle. And I can mention, for example, Formula One Delta Time, where you can buy the old part of a car, assemble it, then race that car on the track and earn revenue based on like how much you rank on the track. You see Z-Run, where you can also get virtual horses running, and from there earn a revenue based on their performance on the track. You're seeing Alien Worlds, which is, I would qualify them more of a DeFi game, where by participating into different DAOs and exploring planets, you see Comet as well. You see a lot of games have been emerging and offering possibilities for users to actually act a revenue through their engagement, through the act of playing and collecting resource rewards token that they can decide to either keep or sell directly on decentralized exchange or on NFT marketplaces. The phenomenon is really global in a sense, like there's been a lot of emphasis on Philippines, but we know users, gamers, they are everywhere, in Korea, in Japan, in the US as well. Some of them have been earning a revenue through it. So it's not just one location. Just in Sandbox alone, we know our creators from Brazil, from Australia as well, in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, in France. They tell a story on like how we've been changing their life. They've been able to pay back some debt on their houses, and they've been able to even start their own gaming studios and hire more people to grow a whole ecosystem behind. It's just really fascinating, I think, again, the possibilities offered by the digital economy.
Yeah, it really is. I know I've heard those stories myself. Like I've got friends in Australia and their kids are saying, I'm never playing another game again that doesn't make me money. And, you know, it's just pocket money for them, but they spend so much time in game. Like Jiho mentioned, you know, why not be rewarded for their attention? And I think that's where we're seeing that happen. Sebastien, I just want to dig into it a little bit more with you in terms of that creator economy. We've talked a lot about the players and how they can contribute to these ecosystems, but do you see other roles, you know, coming up in future? Like how else can people pay and earn within these ecosystems, and what sort of stuff is going to be required to actually build these future worlds?
I think like play to earn is not just limited for people engaging into a single game. Play to earn to me encompass all the concepts that essentially allows you to transform your time into a revenue stream. And that could include create to earn, that could include also the capacity to actually explore games, explore content and curate it for others, bring recommendation in NFT marketplace, bring recommendation as you participate into DAOs and help those DAOs typically to engage with different products and make better financial choices as they engage with those products. In the creator economy, and that's something that specifically with user-generated content and virtual world is needed. Like you have those decentralized virtual world like Somnium Space, Decentraland, Crypto Voxel, or Sandbox. They all come as empty because, well, we are platform. Those platforms, they are user-generated content. So they say, all right, the creators are going to build those and not us. But the truth is, like, if a world is empty, it's boring. It's not engaging to come back to be fun. So you need those community, you need those creators, and you need incentives behind for them to create the kind of event, art galleries, virtual concert, and games that will attract more and more users by network effect behind.
Yeah, it is really incredible to see the growth of this ecosystem and, you know, who's actually contributing to it, because I guess through decentralization, the idea of who can actually build these worlds is really changing. On that, we've got a little bit of extra time. So I just wanted to throw an idea to the group. A lot of people have suggested that NFT gaming might actually be the pathway to unlock mass scale adoption of crypto. And I thought it would be interesting to kind of dig into that a little bit. You know, why is it that NFT gaming is really providing this pathway for people to learn about crypto and make it part of their everyday life when, let's be honest, it's still not that user-friendly? And, you know, what is that actually going to mean for people in the future, particularly when we are seeing such take-up from emerging economies where a lot of people are unbanked? So, you know, who would like to respond to that?
I'm happy to. Yeah, so that's really, really interesting. I really think that it is an intersection of like gaming and DeFi right now. And the main reason for that is because with a gaming account, for example, you are providing financial services that a bank account probably could not, right? So as an example, you know, like if I have a bank account, it does not mean that I could buy a house in the future, right? Whereas a gaming account where I could actually have access to, like these gaming assets and earn rewards is economic empowerment on itself, right? Because it allows me to earn money and make money, right? And
So-
at the same time, yeah.
I was just going to say, like, that's a really interesting idea because, this idea, I guess this is the DeFi Summit and everyone's excited about yield farming at the moment, but people are actually yield farming through games, and they might not necessarily be active on, say, DeFi protocols. They're probably not using lending protocols, but they are yield farming through games. Like, can you explain how that is happening? That's an incredible phenomenon.
Yeah, through like by spending time, they're able to earn rewards through these games, right? Like, for example, battling in like Axie with their Axies, they actually earn SLPs, and these SLPs can actually be converted into fiat cash, right? Through localized like exchanges. And so like your story, the one that you wrote in CoinDesk, users are able to actually, like put food on the table. They're able to earn a living, like buying a motorcycle. Even like last week, there was a couple from Venezuela that was able to actually buy a house. Could you imagine that? For like a month of playing Axie. It's actually a couple who've taken turns like playing the game, right?
Wow.
So I think gaming provided a number of people hope during the pandemic, right? And given this uncertainty as well, it's an option for them. Apart from that, education, right? It's an excellent like platform. I was just saying for financial literacy.
Yeah, if I might add to what Beryl is saying, like gaming is the most intuitive way, the most fun and entertaining way to actually access education. And if we can empower people who didn't get the chance to get an MBA in finance to understand all of those complex concepts and let's just learn them by the practice of playing, it's just very empowering. Like you learn how to make better financial decisions by choosing the items you buy and optimizing for your ROI as you're going to spend time. And from there, then you start to understand more complex concepts about compound, DeFi protocol, lending, loaning, etc. And I think teaching that to the younger generation and also into countries where most of the population doesn't get the chance to get to like a high level school or education level around finance is also a strong empowerment, like Beryl was saying. And that's why gaming is the best platform to achieve that.
I completely agree. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to bring this up, but Jiho, I want to ask you, I actually think that some of the major DeFi protocols were actually some of the first to recognize that play to earn was a fantastic place to adopt users, because through this game, through having fun and also through real financial need, they were learning and adopting some incredibly complex concepts. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that, about the interest that you drew from some of those lending protocols.
Yeah, so in the early days of Axie, before even DeFi had product market fit, before NFTs showed glimmers of product market fit, we were interested in partnering with, communities that are larger than us, and communities of people who knew how to use blockchain products. So early on, it was like we wanted to work with MakerDAO, which is basically an on-chain lending protocol. It's a little bit more complex than that, stablecoin / lending borrowing protocol. And we, in June, I believe it's June of 2019, so like really long time ago, ran an experiment where people who had basically opened collateralized debt positions on this DeFi protocol were able to claim an NFT through our game. So this was like one of the earliest, if not the earliest, DeFi / NFT crossover. And we wanted to do it to kind of like put our flag in the ground. We knew that, I thought it would be kind of a historic thing, for something for people to look back on and see that, Axie was first to do this. Axie was first to realized these types of crossovers were possible. So yeah, at the time it was a little bit confusing. But yeah, it was really funny. We basically incentivized our players in some ways to basically take out leveraged positions in ETH when ETH was like a couple $100s. So yeah, it was. I think that's definitely one of the awesome things about this space is there's so many potential, crossovers. And right now, one of the things that we're realizing is, okay, like we have Ronin, which is our NFT scaling solution built specifically for Axie. Now the players, they're like, oh, we need liquidity for our tokens on Ronin. They don't want to transfer back to Ethereum to sell on Uniswap or SushiSwap or use other DEXs. They don't want to send their tokens to Binance to sell them. They want to do it all from Ronin, where their activity is. So we're actually going to be building a DEX. So we're kind of moving into the DeFi space.
Is that an announcement?
Yeah, it's been, it's something that our users have been asking for a long time, and I think it's a natural way. So we don't see ourselves as just a gaming company or gaming organization. I think DeFi is really important to our stack. So we'll be rolling out a DEX. We have some fun plans related to that rollout that I think are gonna basically make our DEX the most liquid market for any Axie related token.
That's incredible. And I agree with you. It is a natural progression. And it will be interesting to see how the line blurs between all these different platforms. Sebastien, what would you say from an industry perspective in terms of the education that's required to get there? Because obviously, Axie and Sky Mavis can build a lot. YGG is responding in terms of being able to maximize the utility of NFTs. But what about education of the players themselves?
That's where community empowerment and community-driven incentive are really playing a key role. Like the education doesn't need to come only from the main DApp, the main game that offer the service. It can come from the players organizing themselves, running their own streams and catering to attract other players into the game and spread out the knowledge, spread out the know-how. It's quite natural, like from us as human, when we have something good that we want to share that something good with others and incentivize, bring on more. We've seen it that I think Axie Infinity has been really the first game where I've been so impressed by how their community was streaming, was getting so engaged with the game itself. Some of them got even tattoos on them and created their own Twitch or Theta TV, other D-Live channel to stream about it. And now we're seeing it across the board at the BGA, across various games, where the large community have ambassadors program. They have different streams. At Sandbox, we have 200 streams a month on average now from the community. So it's just incredible. And all of that is really possible once you start to embrace the idea, like, as a company, we do not want to be centralized. We do not want control everything ourselves, but we want to give as much as possible access to the information, to the asset, to the content, so that everything could be actually community driven. That should be our way. Like, how can the community will do it better than yourself all the time? So just let them do it and provide them the right tool information to achieve that.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet from Jiho recently, which probably nailed it, where he said, it used to be too difficult to keep up with everything that was happening with Bitcoin. And then it was too difficult to catch up with everything that was happening in Ethereum. And now he can't keep up with everything that's happening in his own game, Axie Infinity. So that's probably a good sign that the community element has been cracked. That's all we've got time for, but I just wanted to thank you so much for this conversation. I think the four of us could probably chat about this for hours, and I hope we get the chance to do it again soon. But thank you so much. And if anyone is keen to find out more, please follow us all on Twitter, and we'd be glad to continue the conversation there.